6 weeks since I have been here on YouTube, and y'all, it's been nuts. I don't know if you caught my last video about the JC Penney sale. I was giving some updates and letting y'all know that life was a bit nuts and it's still a bit chaotic. My office is still torn up, and I'm almost finished with my closet, but I still have a lot to go. But my office is still a mess. I've been traveling a whole lot, and more recently, Rona finally hit our house. So I'm actually here isolated and quarantined. But in the meantime, just wanted to come back and let you guys know what was going on. Also, I do have a new video scheduled to go up on this coming Friday. I think that's July the 8th. I'm running out of dates here. But on Friday, I do have a new Real Deal review coming up. It's going to be on Westman Atelier. So be sure to check that out. But in the meantime, I've been trying to kind of think of some creative ways to come and hang out with you all. Maybe do something different. And I hear that Beyonce has released a new song and told all y'all to go out and quit your jobs. So I figured I would do a quick story time about why I quit mine. So sorry if I don't tell this eloquently. I actually did do a 2-part series on why I left corporate America on my blog, mackthemaverickblog.com. So if I leave anything out, y'all do go and check that out. But I will try to tell this story the best I can. I have to go back probably about 14 years to get to the beginning of this story. I graduated from college in 2008 with my bachelor's degree. I did a bachelor's in music and business administration. And most of us, I guess, are probably old enough to remember what was going on in that time. But if you're not, 2008 was a tough time for a lot of folks. We were in the middle of the worst recession we had in many years, and a lot of us got caught in the crossfire. Folks that were already working were having trouble keeping their jobs and keeping their retirement funds, their pensions, everything investment related. A lot of people lost homes and a whole bunch of stuff. It was not good for a lot of people. And for those of us who were just starting out, it was really hard to start. A lot of my friends were, walking out with degrees, some of them master's degrees, terminal degrees, and having to go to work at Walmart or Starbucks. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you don't go and get a doctorate to do that. It was a tough time. And I was no exception in kind of struggling with that. I made a valiant effort to try to get work in my field. I moved here to Nashville where the business was, and applied, interviewed, did some things, and just wasn't quite working out. So doing what adults do, I needed to try to make my ends meet and keep my lights on. So I took a couple of semi-odd jobs. I got a not so great internship. A not so great internship related to my field, and then I worked retail for a hot 2 seconds, and then I joined the third shift baking staff at Panera. So I did that for a few months. Meanwhile, sending out hundreds of resumes and going on interviews and broadening my search, just opening myself up to anything I thought I could do. And I, somewhere in this process, ended up applying to a temp agency. And they had an opening at a healthcare company, actually a health insurance company, for somebody to come do some administrative assistant work. So, me thinking I know how to work spreadsheets and Word documents and file papers and all this kind of stuff, I went ahead and took that job. Um, and it just so happened over a period of however many weeks, the person I was temping for decided not to come back. And in the time I had been working, I proved myself competent, and I actually, had some skills that the previous person did not have. So they jumped to hire me. I'm not sure who's watching, but hey, thanks for joining. Um, yeah, so let me see something. Live chat. Okay. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, they hired me permanently. They hired me on permanently. And, I did the best I could. It wasn't in my field. And over time, I started to prove myself more and more competent. And with that came a lot more responsibility and a lot more stress. And our team was small, so everybody was doing the best they could to tie a knot and hang on, as my former manager mentor would say. And it got to a point, y'all, where, let's see, my job was 20 miles from my house, but my commute was an hour and a half each way because traffic here is it's abominable. So by the time I would get to work in the morning, I would be sweating and my stomach would literally be turning flips, upset. And I knew that that was not sustainable for me long term. And I felt like, you know what, I can't really change my situation right now, but I can change my attitude. So I started going into it with an attitude of gratitude. I would get up in the morning and all day I would tell myself, I'm grateful to be employed. I'm grateful to be employed. And I would, be grateful for my wonderful, wonderful coworkers, my wonderful, wonderful manager, mentors, and for the opportunities that I had to bless other people while I was where I was. Because I did get some opportunities to really sow into some people and them into me, just outside of even the professional environment. So I did my best with that, and I tried to remain optimistic that this was just a stop on a career detour, not the actual destination. But there came a point where it was way, way, way too much. The stress was unbearable. Not to mention my core competencies. I'm a creative to my heart. None of that was really getting used. And I had a broken patch of hair the size of my palm to prove it. Like, I had ended up having to taper my giant fro all the way down because I had pulled my own hair out. So, yeah, it got to be where it was not sustainable. And maybe year 4, I got a call from a manager that had transitioned elsewhere for another opportunity. And she, asked me to apply for a position that she had. And this position seemed like, a new leaf and a new leash on life, because I ended up getting like a 5-figure raise and the ability to work from home permanently. So that refreshed me and kept me going, because first of all, it gave me back my time, which is for me the most valuable thing. I got 3 hours of my day back doing that, and financially it gave me some hope that I could invest in what I really wanted to do. I was able to finance voice lessons for myself, join a band. It enabled me to buy my first domain and buy my first hosting plan. So I tried to remain positive about that. But sure enough, over time, It was more of the same. I never was really a good fit for the corporate environment. The creative in me couldn't really coexist in that environment. I love my coworkers. I love my managers. Still friends with these folks today and think the world of them. But it was more of the same, like too much work, not enough people. The business is growing, but our team isn't. Nobody's getting paid more. Nobody's getting being able to take time off. I had teammates that had major health emergencies that you cannot tell me were not stress related. And in addition to what was going on in my corporate life, I was continuing to excel and be promoted, but I wasn't excited about it. So that was another sign. You should be excited about an upward trajectory in a place, but if it makes you sad, the prospect of going further and getting deeper in, it's probably not a good fit. So, in addition to that, I also met my husband, and of course, he came ready made with a bunch of responsibility, good responsibility. He was a father already and pastor of a church, and also his job requires lots and lots and lots of travel. And around year 8 in my corporate journey, I heard plain as day that year 10 had to be the end. And I started making preparations to pull my boat close enough to the dock to jump. I didn't get serious about it until maybe a year later, seeing that it was possible and preparing myself to make that leap of faith. But I tendered my resignation from my last corporate job in March of 2020, March the 1st. Another significant milestone in our history, a pandemic happened. And I did not know that this pandemic was going to happen, obviously, but I had tendered my resignation and I actually gave 30 days. And of course, when the world begins to shut down, your first inclination is, I need to go get my job back. But once again, I heard plain as day from God, I told you that year 10 has to be the last one, and your life depends on it. And if you're disobedient concerning this matter, it ain't gonna end well. So things really got real. I pressed through that last 30 days. It was a tough 30 days of questioning my life's choices and the what next, because I really wasn't sure. I knew that, of course, I was going to work on Mac the Maverick full time and help my husband with his ministry and commit time to family and all that good stuff. But it wasn't necessarily plain. And then shortly after I tendered my resignation, my husband, working in the broadcast industry, got laid off. So it really became a more urgent sense of faith. It's more urgent for you to believe. It's more urgent for you to trust God. It is more imperative that you do this because I say so, says the Lord, and not just because it's comfortable or it's what you want to do. And so I had to spend the first month really detoxing the 10 years that had come before. And perhaps I'll do a part 2 on this video and kind of talk about that a little bit. But fast forward, as difficult as it has been, leaving my corporate job has been one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I don't regret it one bit. I do have to acknowledge the privilege that I do have, that I am married and I do have a partner support. I don't want to appear tone deaf to anybody that's wrestling with that decision, and not in the same place. But I will also tell you this: one of the emotions that I've struggled the most with over the past year, not the past year, the past 2 years since I left my corporate job, is guilt. I have wrestled with guilt. I have wrestled with how my childhood, especially growing up with meager means, has affected my decision making. I will definitely come back and talk about that one day. But I wish in my singleness, I have regret that I did not take more risks. And sometimes I wonder how my life would have turned out if I had, not necessarily waited until things looked a certain way to step out on faith and do it. That doesn't mean do it haphazardly, and that does not mean do that without the leading and, the support of God saying, yes, go do this. But I will say, don't let your singleness or feeling like you don't have the support you need stop you from pursuing your God-given destiny. That's what I will say about that. But if you're a person who is thinking about making that leap, go with God, go in faith. Don't worry about what other people may think or other people may say. Have a plan and stick to it, because one thing is sure: if you never start, you never get to the end. If you never take a step toward your destination, you never reach your destination. So that, my friends, is the short story of why I left my corporate job. Again, if you missed the beginning of the video, I think I can edit the description and drop a link to the 2-part series on my blog where I talk more in detail about why I left corporate, and also my reflections of what I have learned since leaving. So y'all, I love you all. I hate that it's been so long, but I'm glad to be somewhat back, and do catch Friday's video on Westman Atelier, and yeah, we'll go from there. And y'all comment, let me know what your thoughts are, where you are professionally, how you feel about, the idea of corporate, because that is the life for some people. That is not the life for others. You got to strike your own path. But I want to hear from you all, and let me know, if the story time format works for you guys. I'm just trying new things and evolving and trying to really just go with life. Things may not be perfect, but I'm gonna try for you guys anyway, because I love you. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye. If I can figure out how to end this video. Yeah.